Okay, so Heidi and I are hosting today. We have a number of people who are taking different pieces, but Heidi and I will be welcoming and hosting the beginning here for sure. I want to welcome you all to the 27th annual membership meeting for the Adult Numeracy Network. This is our second virtual meeting, and we're very excited to be here. A lot of work went into this year and work in preparation for the meeting, and we are so happy that you showed up. Makes me feel very hopeful and excited about what we're going to be able to do in the next year. So thank you for being here. Again, my name is Eric Appleton. I'm the current president of the board of directors, and I want to welcome you to our annual membership meeting. We're excited to welcome people from all over the country and maybe even a few from around the world who have over our members. This is an opportunity for us to report on our work in the last year, finalize our election for new board officers, and share ideas. I mean, and I don't mean just us sharing ideas, but all of us together sharing ideas for how we can continue to develop this network that has been so important to many of us and to you too, because here you are, and it proves that it's important to you as well. So I'm excited to have you here. You know, I think it's almost cliche to talk about how difficult this year has been for us all, but I'm going to say it anyway. Just from my vantage point, I've seen teachers in adult education doing heroic things to learning to teach with new constraints while dealing with trauma and disruption and adapting to new physical, emotional, political realities. And I know that my participation in the Adult Numeracy Network has been a huge support, and as I've dealt with my own challenges and also been able to respond to some opportunities that have happened this year. So I really am very thankful to my colleagues and thankful to be a part of this organization. We're proud to be the professional organization that supports and advocates for math teachers in adult education. I think we don't always realize that. We haven't maybe always thought of ourselves that way. I hadn't, and it was actually in the conversation with Cynthia Bell, who's here, who made me realize that we are the professional organization for math teachers in adult education, and we want to, make that true, make it more true, and help people who are teaching across the country and maybe the world understand that, so that we can all work together to make ourselves stronger as a community. So thank you for being here. Heidi.
Hey everyone, I'm Heidi Schuler-Jones. I'm the president-elect of ANN, and in that role, I also chair a couple of committees, the Teaching and Learning Institute Planning Committee, which most of us are just calling it pre-conference. I chair that committee and also the nominating committee, which you'll hear a little bit more about as we get into the voting element of the day. But in both of those committees, I am really fortunate to get to work with an amazing team of colleagues from ANN. It's how I became familiar with ANN, is working with the Teaching and Learning Institute, planning that many years ago. And I've met so many amazing people from that. And so I encourage you, if you are new to ANN or you're looking for ways to get to know this wonderful group, participate in a committee, because that's how most of us got involved. I also work with in working with this amazing group of people, I also get to meet people like our founding members that are on this meeting today. And I think that's one of the best things about having the annual meeting and having it virtual, is it does give us a chance to connect with some of our members who helped found us and helped grow this organization over, what are we at, 27 years now? So just a quick shout out to Ido Gal, Linda Ginsburg, Pam Meter, and Sally Waldron. And I was looking through the participant list. Did I miss anyone? If so, my apologies. Any other founding members that are on the call today? Okay. One of our founding members had hoped to be here today, but she couldn't quite make it, and that's Margaret Rogers. She is going to watch the recording later, so she was very excited that we're recording this session. And you'll see her name a little bit later as a part of the raffle. And so she did prepare a welcome or a greeting that she asked if I would share with you today. So I'd like to read that to you as an extension of a welcome message from a past president and founding member of ANN. She writes to us, "Greetings. It is with pleasure that I send greetings to the ANN annual meeting and it is with pride that I am able to watch and experience the tremendous growth and progress that this organization has made and continues to make under the creative and capable guidance of its board. It was a special day in 1994 when I was honored to represent California in Washington, D.C. with two others from our state project, Adult Literacy Training Institute, ALIT, to spend a day creating and chartering this organization. Many states sent representatives to the meeting. The NCTM president was there, along with our visionaries led by Mary Jane Schmidt and Ido Gall, who had big dreams for adult education to be recognized as national mathematics education providers. And she writes to us, Margaret Rogers, founding member, past president in Sacramento, California. So thank you to Margaret and to all of our founding members for being here supporting our work today. Back to you, Eric. Oh, did I lose you, Eric?
I knew I was going to do that. My flawless preparation failed. What we'd like to do now is quickly go through the agenda, so you know what's coming today. So we're in the welcome. We're going to do a warm up led by Janiyah Jones and prepared with help from Sarah Longberg-Liu. We're going to talk about who is ANN, what is ANN, and a little bit about our strategic goals that we've been working on for the last few years. We will revisit the election and the bylaws, the proposed bylaw changes. So we'll be voting, and if you haven't voted yet, it'll be the last opportunity. We'll look at a financial report from our treasurer. And then we're going to do breakout rooms with our committees, so that for those, especially those folks who are newer to ANN, can visit different committees and hear a little bit about what they're working on and ask questions, and so that you can learn how to get connected with our work in the coming year. We'll share our voting results, and we'll do a quick raffle at the end. So hopefully you can stick around. We're raffling off two $25 ANN Zazzle gift cards, which allow you to buy ANN merchandise like mugs and t-shirts. And I think there might be somebody here who's wearing a t-shirt who could show you what they look like. And you do have to be present to win, so we hopefully you can stick around. I want to encourage you, while the meeting is going on, to be active in the chat, ask questions, make suggestions, share ideas. Heidi and I, folks speaking might not be able to respond immediately, but there are lots of other experienced ANN members here who will respond. So let's move on to our warm-up.
Awesome. And do we have another slide with the code? No? Okay. So I am Janiyah Jones.
The code is in the chat. I just put it there.
Awesome. Thank you. So I'm Janiyah Jones, everyone, and I want to officially welcome you. So we're going to do a little bit of a warm-up activity, and it's interactive. So let us get everyone to click the link in the chat and join us. And we're going to go through this together. So give me a thumbs up when you're there. All right, I got some thumbs. I got not some thumbs. All right, we have 16 people. Looks like 16.
Oh, they're coming in. We're 24, 25. We're halfway there. Benchmark fraction.
26, 27.
Oh no, we're only at 35 people, so we're more than halfway there.
28. Well, 34, because I think that there's two Eric Appletons. There's an Eric and then there's an imposter Eric. All right, so 30, so maybe 4 more people? No, 3 more people because I didn't join. All right.
You can, I think people are already doing the activity on the first screen, so that's awesome.
Yes, so on this first screen, and that's where it's going to stop you, we're going to look at where you hail from Now, not everyone is lucky enough to hail from the Sunshine State, where we have beautiful weather all the time, and summer runs from June to the next June, the following June. All right, so do we want to show where everybody's from? Does everybody had?
You should be able to see it on your screen. When you put in your dots, you should be able to see everybody else's dots.
Yeah, I'm seeing lots of dots.
All right, so we've got probably, I think the winner, if there was a competition, for dots would be maybe Region 1, the folks hailing from Region 1. We got about 6, it looks like, in Region 3, 3 from Region 4, maybe another 7, 8, 9 from Region 2. I'm one
Of course,
who's
the
not
regions
on the
aren't
map.
labeled. The regions aren't labeled, so that's, you know.
The region labels are on the right. So red is Region 1. Green is Region 2.
Got it. No, I see it. Small print.
It's very small print, but I have on my prescription, my glasses. All right, so let's go on. And let's look one more. Everybody should have access to move forward. Just a little bit, not too forward. So what is your relationship with ANN? So I know I am a lot more literal than everyone else, but just in the best description for you, where do you fall on these continua? All right. Oh, this is so sweet. Members and connections through ANN is why I do what I do. Wow, 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 wow. I'm seeing a lot of action in quadrant 1.
So, and if you say something about your response and submit it, then you'll be able to see some things that other people have said. But if you don't participate in that part, you won't see other people's comments either.
And I see a comment, I love the people. I think that is one of the reasons that many of us are here, is because we love the people. And the thing that I want to say to everyone is, whether you're a newbie, a veteran, or somewhere in between, we are just so glad that you're here and that you're able to interact with us and to engage in making things amazing in your classes with your students, and helping our students be successful in reaching and attaining their diplomas and reaching their academic goals. So we're just very grateful for everybody that we have here. And it looks like we've got a little bit of action going on the 3rd and 4th quadrants, but we've got most of our action going on in quadrant 1. So a good number of us are, we've been here a little while, and we are getting involved as much as we can in ANN. All right, and now one more bit of information that we want to get from you. Old timers? I don't know if they want me to call them old timers. I think I might get in trouble for that one. All right, so what unit of time would you use to measure your involvement with ANN? Maybe days, maybe months, maybe years, maybe decades. There are some individuals who have been involved for decades, I see. I think we're getting some more in days. Good, good, good. I just want to say, wow, look at all of the people who have joined us 1 decades. Look at all of the people who have joined us, who have only been members of A&N for a matter of days. Can we all just take a minute and just give them a huge round of applause? Take off your mute. Give them an audible round of applause. Let them hear you.
Well, yeah, and I will mention though that you can pick any unit you want here. If you've been a member for all of 2 weeks and you want to measure your membership in decades, like, more power to you. You're in fractions, and vice versa.
3,000 of a decade. That's so true. All right. Well, welcome to everyone, whether you've been here for days or months, years, which is the majority of us, 20 people, or decades. We're so glad that you're part of A&N, and we hope that you have an opportunity to engage with us at a higher level than you have in the past, in a different and fresh way in this next year than you have in the past. And we look forward to supporting you and providing you with resources and making your time with us just as awesome as it could possibly be. Back to you, Eric.
Thank you, Janaya and Sarah. So if you are off in Desmos, you can come back to Zoom. Hopefully you're seeing my screen again. And I'll switch back to the presentation. Let me know if you don't see the slides, please. So let's see here. Real quickly, we'd like to just talk about who A&N is and what it is. Just a quick sort of review and talk about our strategic goals. But if you're newer to the organization, here are our board of directors, the current board of directors. As you know, we're in an election right now, so some of this may change. This contact information is on our website as well, and we'll share it later, so you don't feel like you need to scramble to write anything down. But as you see people around the room, you'll see some of these faces, then you know who they are. Here are our regional and state representatives at the moment. And if you don't know the representatives for your state and region, I encourage you to introduce yourself in the chat or through email after the meeting. And if your state isn't represented, if your state isn't represented, you may consider getting involved as a state rep. We have had some interest just recently in some new state reps, so that would be something we would be excited about. So as you know, we're currently electing a secretary, webmaster, NCTF representative, Region 3, which is the Midwest regional rep, and Region 4, which is the West regional rep. I want to thank everyone who's served with us up to now, in case some folks are leaving, and I want to thank everybody who's expressed interest in being on the board, being a regional state representative, and then we also have a number of people who are serving as committee chair people and people who are participating in committees, which you'll learn more about later if it's new to you. So A&N, as you know, it's a non-for-profit, and actually one of the things we're trying to do is apply for official non-for-profit status, that we sort of have it by virtue of our low income, which you'll learn more about later. We're volunteer-led. Some of the main things that we do is we have the Math Practitioner newsletter that is produced, and Patricia Helmuth is our wonderful editor. And we have 3 editions per year, and hopefully you're receiving that. And if you're not, let us know. We have the website, which has grown by leaps and bounds recently, led by Mark Truszkowski, who's the webmaster, and Cynthia Bell, who's joined the committee with him. And I know they're looking for more help, but if you haven't looked at it recently, well, take a look, because there's a huge amount of stuff there. We do the Teaching and Learning Institute at COABE. It's a pre-conference one-day institute every year. We are the COABE Math and Numeracy Strand partner, so we help select the workshops in the Math and Numeracy Strand at COABE, and schedule and plan the day at the conference each year. And finally, we're an affiliate of the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, and Cynthia Bell is our NCTM representative. I'm going to pass it to Heidi.
Yeah, thanks. So back in 2018, the board met for our annual summer retreat. And the focus of that retreat was on developing a strategic plan. And so we've been systematically working to live into what we created in that strategic plan. And so what you see on the screen are our core strategic goals that we are working toward. And so I want to just highlight a few things that we know that are notable from 2020 and 2021, the work that we've been doing. In particular, the first one about providing opportunities for teachers to become learners. So many times, most of us spend all of our energy on helping our students or helping, if we do professional development, helping other teachers, but we seldom get time or make time for ourselves to become more educated about the work that we're doing. And so we wanted to emphasize the things that we've done as an organization to support that this year. One of them always is the Teaching and Learning Institute. Pre-conference always provides us, those who attend, but also those of us who create these workshops, with an amazing opportunity to strengthen our understanding of math and ways that we can be teaching it, in ways that we can understand it. Another thing that we did this year was a first, was having COABE viewing parties. And so for those who didn't get to attend necessarily the COABE session, we've been hosting through Slack, kind of sharing out with people who want to attend, and then also sharing out through our social media channels. Those who want to watch particular sessions that were happening at COABE that particularly focused on stuff that's ANN supports or that we saw of interest to enhancing our own understanding. And so that's a way that we've not only developed our own understanding and learning, but also our fellowship as a community and as a network. And then finally, a third thing about providing opportunities for us to be learners has to do with the math teacher circle meetings. And so Cami has been able to open up to all of us outside of New York the chance to dig in with our math hat and look at things as colleagues and as students of math, practitioners of math. And so those circle meetings have been opened up as well. Second point about our strategic goal of creating community, I mentioned the Slack channel. I don't know how much of that actually was prepared in advance, or if it was kind of an impromptu substitute for what we miss out on during the virtual COABE. For those who've been fortunate enough to go to a face-to-face COABE, at face-to-face COABEs, I think some of my favorite pieces are hanging around after the math and numeracy sessions to just connect with my friends and colleagues and talk about the sessions that we saw and what are we learning and what was really interesting. And the way that I don't even know if it was Eric or Mark or whomever created the opportunity on Slack, was kind of to foster that same communication and networking. So if you're not a person who does Slack, but you're curious now, put something in the chat and this will be preserved and we can go back and introduce you to it and share it out with you. We also have, to continue our community conversations, the links, email discussions. We have an Ask ANN group, micro group within that. And then we also support the math and numeracy work that Brooke Istis is the facilitator of. So that's another place. Third piece of our strategic goals about forming committees and other leadership opportunities. I was telling Eric and Amy in our biweekly president's meeting, I feel like we have been on a rocket ship this year to develop committees. It's really been a big piece of the work that we've done to help. There's so much work we want to do, and we can't do it with the limited people who are board members and a few committee members. So we've really intentionally put a lot of work into developing those committees this year. And I really am excited that people are going to get to hear about them in the breakout rooms today. I encourage you to get involved. That's the best place for you to really get the most out of your ANN membership, is to get involved with these groups, because you really do learn a lot in being a participant as a leader as well. We also started having committee chairs. So in the past, it might have been a board member who chaired a committee, and now we're actively looking for leaders who are not necessarily on the board, but they've got the leadership skills to take on that role as a committee chair. We also have a Google group that those leaders or people who participate in a committee, we've added them into a Google group And that allows us to share out information, new ideas. We need to get kind of a field test, a quick field test or feedback. This Google group for ANN leaders is that component. And so that's allowed us to get immediate feedback from some of the most active people in the organization when we need more timely responses in particular. So all of those are things that I feel in the last year we've really enhanced, and it's only going to keep growing. The last couple of things on here are areas that I hope we will continue to grow in the next year. And I think it's a big part of the work that we'll be doing with one of our new positions that you'll hear about in a little bit. The fostering partnerships with other organizations. We've been looking to groups like TOTOS and NCTM to see what they're doing for particular aspects of their organization in relation to DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. But also just where are they, how are they positioning themselves maybe with the climate as far as math concerns? What's the focus for them? And so we want to be able to partner with them a little deeper, not just taking information, but sharing out information, and other organizations that are not necessarily focused on just the mathematics. Maybe we have some partnerships with social networks, help me out here. I'm losing my words. At any rate, helping the community. That's community outreach is what I'm looking for. There's some other opportunities that we haven't quite tapped into yet, and I'm looking for us to have some leaders in that in the coming year, I hope, who might want to spearhead that or take it on as part of their work. And then the last one is, see in our fine print here, influencing policy. This is an area we definitely can grow in, and I think part of that work could come from our research work. I think some of that work could also grow out of those who are working at the federal and state initiative level, either helping to enhance what's out there for adult numeracy instruction. Some people are helping with assessment, they're providing feedback, but I feel like we're kind of doing that in our individual levels, in our professional work. What I want us to be able to do is start to do that as a cohesive organization. I'd love for ANN's name to be the place that people think about when they want to create or they want feedback from the field. I want them to think about ANN as that voice for policy and about seeing what needs to be done to support educators in math, in particular with adult ed. So I think these last two bullets are where we can see our organization grow, and I hope you'll be a part of that. I know that we don't have time necessarily for questions now. We might be able to address some of that in the small groups, but I always encourage you, reach out to us on the board who, if you have some particular ideas that you'd like to share or ways that you can see us getting more involved. Maybe you have a contact person that you know could help us, particularly with these last two strategic goals. So thanks so much. Eric, I think we're back to you.
So great, thank you, Heidi. So what I would like to do now is quickly review the bylaws changes that are proposed, which many of you have voted on already, but just to give you a sense of what these changes were and why we made them. This is just a summary. You in the links, which we'll share in a minute, and maybe you've already seen, we have some explanation of each change that we made or that we're proposing. But so the first thing is to update some language to conform with similar organizations. There was a question about the clause without regard to race, color, and creed in the introduction to our bylaws. The idea that it needed to be more inclusive if we were going to keep it, because there are many other groups of people or identities that we might consider if we were going to try and be specific about who is accepted in the adult numeracy network as a member. I mean, we could be talking about sex, gender, identity or expression, sexual orientation, religion, national origin, disability, etc. And so we went and looked at some bylaws for other similar organizations, NCTM and TOTOS. I mean, those two organizations specifically, we have been leaders in DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so we wanted to see what their bylaws said, and they didn't actually have anything similar in their bylaws, and so we felt like it was simpler to remove this, and and we are working on equity issues. It's something that is important to all of us, really. But we felt like the bylaws were not necessarily the place to address that. And the other proposed changes are basically some clarification, distinguishing the annual institute at COABE from the annual meeting, which is happening today. In the past, those were both happened on the same day, but clearly now we split those two events. So, so that's a bit of a clarification, and we also are updating the officers' duties to correspond to how we are actually doing things now. We don't send lists of members to the representatives, for example. It's all saved in our website, and so there's just some things that are clarifying how we actually do things. So just as a reminder, and you may not know this, but any member of the Adult Numeracy Network can suggest proposed changes to the Constitution and bylaws. This text here is from the bylaws and Constitution directly. So just in order to propose a change, it just needs to be sent to the president, which I suppose will be me next year, at least 60 days before the annual meeting, so that the board can consider it, and then it would be proposed to the membership if there were a change to be suggested. So my guess is there will be changes that need to happen in the future, but we want to make sure that we're doing things carefully and proceeding in a proper way that includes participation from all of our members and as well make well-considered decisions. So those are the bylaws changes that we're proposing, and you can look at the links for details. I'm going to pass this back to Heidi, I think, but I'm going to put a couple of quick links in the chat if you haven't seen these links.
Yes, thanks for that. Yeah, this is actually going to be our last chance to vote on these two elements, the board candidate elections, the 5 positions that have been open since May, and then the proposed bylaw changes that Eric just summarized. The next piece of the meeting is going to go on to the treasurer's report. And so at the end of the treasurer's report, we'll be closing down the vote and asking you to, and so that'll close out any other opportunity to vote on this. While you're taking a few minutes right now, clicking on that chat in the chat to grab those 2 links, I'll just offer up, for those who may not know, we actually began voting on the candidates back on May 2nd is when it actually first was posted to the A&M website, and we sent out an email to all A&M members on May 3rd. We realize now that many people on the email list, there's over 200 people, we're not getting those emails, and so it really set us behind in getting that message out. And so on May 24th, the outreach committee worked to individually email every single member in our organization to let them know of things they might be missing, help rectify the issue about not being able to get our emails. If that's one of you, if you're going, I've never gotten an email from you as an organization, what's going on? Please email one of us in the board to say I need some help getting the A&N emails, because we do think we figured out one of the ways to get around that. And so the outreach committee helped get the message out. We also have, because the annual meeting is virtual, we have the chance for you to vote right now. So we've really streamlined the process for nominating and electing officers, and the nominating committee, there's 3 of us, Eric Appleton, myself, and then Lakshmi Nayak. And we've been supporting the candidates, providing feedback maybe on their profile that they wanted to share, helping to answer questions that they had. And so this same committee is going to continue to support those who want to run for future offices. And then anyone who's interested in joining that nominating committee, please reach out to me. I'm looking for other members who can help us as well. But if you're interested in running for a board position, we do have elections every spring, or actually now kind of every summer, since our annual meeting has landed in the summer. Every position is for a 2-year term. Half the board is nominated in even years, and the other half is nominated in odd years. But all of that is to say, if you are elected to a position and you want to run for an office that's the very next year, it's only open on the opposite year, please know that you can. Even if it means that your 1 year that you didn't serve has to be filled by someone else, We have presidential appointments for that reason. So we don't want to limit you in your vision of what you see your strengths going to do in service to the organization. And the nominating committee is the participant of not just for elected positions, but also presidential appointment positions you'll hear about. So we are always, as a nominating committee, pretty much year round, we're working on some element of offering up leadership to the board. We are going to have, hopefully in August, an open house for all the board positions that are coming up for vote next year in 2022. So if you think you might have an interest in running for a position, definitely keep an eye out in your email for an invitation to participate in that open house. And those of you whose positions are open for next year, be looking for an email from the nominating committee to say, hey, we need a meeting in August so that we can let people know what the positions are about, the amount of time it takes, and answer their questions. Any questions or comments before we move on to the treasurer's report that I can address? Thank you to all who are dropping links into the chat. I appreciate that. Okay, I think we're off to you.
There is a question, Heidi.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
The question is, when do officers-elect take office?
Great question. So the election closes today. We'll announce the winners by the end of this meeting. Newly elected candidates begin their office tomorrow on June 8th. And so the 2-year term begins June 8th, 2021, and will conclude at the next annual meeting in 2023. Any other questions? Okay. Thanks so much, Sarah.
All right. Hopefully this won't take too long. I'll try not to go through it too quickly in case you're voting during this time. But this is just a quick overview of our finances from the last year. So I'm going to walk you through the information that's on this slide. The income that we took in fiscal year 20, which is the year that ended on June 30th, 2020, was $1,477. And that is lower than what we would usually take in a year because we didn't do an institute or pre-conference because that was the COABE in Baltimore. And we'd been planning for a in-person pre-conference and could not pivot to a virtual one in the time that we had. So our general policy is that the income from the prior fiscal year should fund the current fiscal year. Our budget for fiscal year 2021 was quite a bit higher than the $1,477 that we took in. And the two reasons for that are, one is that we've been digging a little bit into our savings, and we have substantial savings at the moment. We've been digging into the savings a bit because we're focused on growing the organization, and also because our income was quite a bit lower than usual because of COVID. So even though we budgeted $3,730 for spending in fiscal year 21, we actually only spent $2,827. And what you see underneath here is the breakdown of where that money went. And I'm not going to go through all of these line by line, but if you have questions, if you want to know specifically what was spent on each of these things or what that means, you can ask. And just to finish up, I'll tell you that the income that we took in FY21, which is approximate because FY21 ends on June 30th and today is only June 7th, was $2,700. We did really well with dues this year. We got a few group memberships recently, which was great. And because we did do the Institute virtually, we did get some money back from that. So I'm going to open that up to questions. Yeah, we did not have practitioner research, and we didn't have the money to pay for it this year. And we'd like to, in the future, have both of those things. I'll also say that this treasurer's report will be made available, I think, through the website. So you don't need to screenshot it or write it down. If you really want to remember any of these numbers, you'll be able to get it. Thanks, Janaya. Well, I think the treasurer's report is got to be hands down the most exciting part of the meeting, but I'm going to turn it back over. If you have questions for me, I'm still here, but if, go ahead, drop them in the chat or message me, but let's move on.
I, for one, have been waiting all day for that report, Sarah. So thank you so much.
So now we can shift gears a little bit, I think. So my name is Amy Vickers, and I'm past president of Adult Numeracy Network. I'm calling from northern Wisconsin, which is traditional Anishinaabe territory. It's very awesome to see everybody here today. As I type this in the chat, but I'm just very excited that we have the virtual member meetings, because it's just really encouraging for me to see everyone's face. So I don't know if Eric, well, I'm thinking two things. I want to introduce this activity, and also I'm thinking about the group picture. So maybe leave the screen up for a minute, but be getting ready for that. So now when I said shifting gears, what we are going to do is to go into some breakout rooms. And I think we're doing pretty well on time, so we should be able to take some time in these small groups. So on the screen, you can see 6 active committees that ANN has right now. And you will have the opportunity to choose a committee that looks interesting to you. And you can go into that breakout room just to hear from the chairperson, hear about the projects that they have going on. And, don't worry when it doesn't mean that you're joining that committee just because you join that breakout room. So feel free to go check out a room. And I believe you can even change rooms once we've started. So let me go through these and be thinking about which seems interesting for you today. So we have the Math Practitioner Newsletter Committee. So that's for our newsletter that goes out 3 times a year. We have the Outreach Support and Member Welcome Committee, the Teaching and Learning Institute Planning Committee. So that's if you're not familiar with that phrase, that's the full day event that we do at the pre-conference of COABE, so Coalition on Adult Basic Education. At their national conference, we do a full day event. So it would be planning for that during their pre-conference. We have the Racial Equity and Math Education Committee. We have the Website Committee and the COABE Numeracy Strand Committee. So I may need to explain that a bit. So Adult Numeracy Network is the strand partner at COABE for the math and numeracy strand. So that would be the committee that works to select presentations and also maybe do some planning for the COABE National Conference. So take a look at those 6. Think about which group you'd like to spend the next 15 or so minutes with. And then I think Eric will set up the breakout rooms, or I don't know, Eric, did you want to do the photo first or second? I don't remember.
I think I'd like to do it first if it's possible. So what we were thinking, we'd like to do a big group photo, a group snapshot. which means that maybe if your camera's off, you might turn it on for a minute. Or maybe if your camera's on, you might turn it off for a minute. I don't know. But so we'd like to take a quick, Mark, yeah, go get your suit and tie, shave real quick. We'd like to take a snapshot. So if we could do maybe like a 3, 2, 1, and I'll take a few shots. So let's see here. 3, 2, 1, cheese. Okay, I got one and it looks good to me. Thank you all. Let's see here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to open up the breakout rooms. And you can choose which room you want to go to. I haven't opened them just yet. So you should be able to choose the room you want to go to. You can move from room to room if you like. And there'll be people there who can tell you a little bit about the committee, answer questions, that sort of thing. And let us know if you have trouble getting around, if you're not able to move. And we'll come back in about 15 minutes.
So, welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed doing some talking and hearing on a more personal level. It was pretty interesting. Janai and I were noticing that the equity group was the biggest group, but otherwise there was a lot of evenly split, like the groups are pretty evenly split. So hopefully all of those committees will have strong futures. That's what I'm hoping for. So how about please, I would like to hear most maybe right now from people who are new to the organization. So for anyone who was in a small group, chat something new that you learned. And especially if you are newer to the organization, I'll say less than 1 year, would you be willing to share, just share one thing that you learned out loud with your voice? So how about from the Math Practitioner Newsletter Committee? What happened? What's going on with that committee?
Ooh, I'll share. It's Joy. Hi.
Thanks, Joy.
I had no idea that your newsletter won the 2021 award at NCTM. How cool is that? Kudos, you guys. So super happy, this newbie, super happy to be involved, and I learned lots, and the passion, you could feel it through the little 2x2 squares. So appreciate
Good. Thank you, Joy. Good. How about from the outreach committee? What's going on there? Could we hear from a newer member?
I guess I can jump in. I
Okay.
think that's sufficient wait time. We just touched base on the role of the regional specialists and heard that that group of people are going to revisit their roles and responsibilities. And then just talked a bit about having some recurring meetings, and that information will be sent out by Felicia.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Beverly. What about the Teaching and Learning Institute? What's going on there in that committee? It's kind of at an in-between time right now, so I wonder what you all talked about.
Do we have any of our newbies still on here? I know Amy had to jump off.
I think, yeah, I just was writing down that was the name of what we were doing. So being new, it's like you've got all these committees that you know. So as someone that is new, trying to keep this all straight, I wanted to make sure it was Heidi, the one that you were leading. So I learned that there's a lot of work to do behind the scenes to get the Teaching and Learning Institute, going. And I also kind of felt comfortable and had that, feeling of welcoming into this committee because so many people started there that were in the group. So it sort of seems like a good place for me to start, and I've signed up, and I will I will try to get more friends to join in.
Cool. Thank you, Kim. Sounds good. That was how I got that was my first step into Adult Numeracy Network, was working on that committee. How about racial equity in math education? What's going on there? It's a busy group.
It's good that we're next following the Teaching and Learning Institute, because we talked about bringing the DEI topic to the next pre-conference. Linda posed that idea and a lot of us agreed with it.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Thank you, Sarah.
And we also talked about, well, Sarah shared with us a list of ideas of things to be worked on, but we talked about creating materials and sharing resources and professional development that's focused on what can be done, not just what the problem is, but looking at solutions, not just looking at data about the problem.
Mm-hmm. And I would like to just, in case you haven't been there, I'd like you to direct everyone to our website, the equity pages on our website, because this is a very nice transition to hear from the website committee, but they have, it is quite a robust set of resources to help teachers and students learn. So I'd like to direct you there. So website committee, what else? What did you all talk about?
Should I go because I'm newer?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, too. I put in the chat, my work computer camera is broken, so I'm sorry, I'm just a name.
A rectangle.
Yeah, I guess kind of what you were saying, just how I've used the website pretty consistently and for my teaching, but I didn't know Mark was showing us, I think, newsletters back to 1995 on there. So I guess just the fact that it's more robust than I had thought, even though I have been able to like use it, I thought, pretty effectively. So I thought that was cool, and that's the idea. It's, I guess, sort of flexible, or it can be different things moving forward or along those lines. I just thought was exciting.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you, Tim. And then in conclusion, what about the COABE Numeracy Strand Committee? Also, it's kind of a funny in-between time for you all. What did you talk about?
Amy, it's Peg.
Yes.
We spoke about the need for kind of a more formal framework to accept and review submissions for COABE. We also entertained a little bit about, just kind of a general education to people about different adult education kind of acronyms, IET, Title II, WIOA, all of that kind of thing. And we spoke briefly about numeracy and math, and are they two separate things or are they the same thing? And we are hopeful to have a little bit more lead time to be able to review proposals. Eric,
Very
pick
good.
up whatever I left out.
No, it seems like you got it, Peg. Thank you. That's a lot in a little 15-minute talk. Can you join more than one committee? Yes, certainly. And please also respect your own time as you do that, because we want you to feel excited to be involved with Adult Numeracy Network for the next 40 or 50 or 60 years. So make sure that you spread out. Just consider that to spread your work over those years. Okay, so thank you for sharing back out, and I hope you enjoyed those conversations. And really, I hope you're getting that feeling from this group. Everything we do is just someone has an idea, someone is passionate about something, and then we just talk to all of our friends here and then make things happen. And more structures are getting put in place all the time in a very good way, in a very helpful way. So so that when you have an idea, there's a lot of support to help you have that idea go somewhere. So please reach out to committee chairs, reach out to individual board members if you have ideas that you would like to pursue. Thank you.
Eric, I wonder if we might take just a minute. I just saw Ido had posted something in the chat. Could we give him just a minute to share about that, if he's up for it? Great. Ido, do you care to mention a bit about what you just shared in the chat?
Sure. Hello, everybody. I just shared that in about 4 weeks, there will be the annual conference of ALM, Adult Learning Mathematics. It's a European organization. Some people know about it. Some practitioners don't care much for it because it's not in the United States, but it's a very active group, combining people who work in universities and adult education and so on in many countries in Europe. Eric has been to some of their webinars and so on. And I think it's a very good professional development opportunity and an opportunity to see some of the work that is happening in other countries and other approaches, which might be interesting. The hours might be a bit challenging because it's mostly on European time, but they are aware of the fact that many of the participants are spread all over the world, including in Australia and the Far East. So if you look at the website, you will see that they give multiple hours for each one of the keynotes, and they will soon publish the full program. So I think it's not competing with the ANN Day on COEB and so on, but it provides other perspectives on continuing education and adult learners, and a lot about immigrants and refugees and people who are second language or third language and so on. So it's an interesting possibility.
Thanks so much for sharing about that and always keeping us informed that there's a lot more going on outside of this ANN network and in the rest of the world. And I saw Linda had also reminded us that we used to have a dedicated international rep in addition to regional reps outside of the US. So my apologies for overlooking that and not adding that into our group. Mark, if we can add that in as well to our website, great, to support our international members. All right, I think we are up now to, are we ready to move on to the next piece? Great. So Janaya, if you can get us back on the full screen or our results. So the election results are in. Thank you everyone who has voted. This has been the first that I know of an election where anybody had someone running against them. So this was an interesting experience for the nominating committee to try and kind of create some support for candidates throughout. So you see on the screen our winners, NCTM representative. Thank you, Cynthia, for continuing to fulfill that obligation and be a part of that connection to our National Council of Teachers of Mathematics. Brooke Istis is the candidate who was elected for secretary. It was a very close race. We'll share the pie charts here in just a minute. Joy Zimmerman, who's on the meeting today, Brooke was unable to make it. She had a family commitment that she had to be there for, medical commitment that she needed to help out with, but she apologized for not being here. But Joy, I just want to shout out to you. I think you were defending your dissertation today. Is that correct?
They bumped it back to Wednesday, so I have 48 hours.
Okay, well, good luck on that. But she was also a candidate running for secretary, and I appreciate you being a part of this. I know and this is true for all candidates, no matter if it's in this election year or in other years, there is a ton of work to be done. If you didn't learn that from being in a breakout room, I'll just go ahead and reiterate that. This organization is doing a lot of work to enhance the field of numeracy in our various jobs, whether we're teaching or professional development or curriculum writing or administrators. But it takes a lot of hands to do that work for the organization. So even if you run for an office and you're not elected, there is still room for you at the table. There's still a lot of places where we can benefit from your time and talents. So I just encourage anyone who wants to run for position or who does and isn't elected, please know that we already have identified some places where we would love to have you participate. And that's true for you as well, Joy. And we appreciate you being a part of this election process. And congrats to Brooke for being the secretary. Region 3 Midwest Regional Rep, it goes to Amber Delegar. She is continuing her work in that role. And the same thing for Stephanie Stewart in Region 4, the Region 4 in the West. These two have been in their positions for several rotations, I believe. So thank you for committing to that and continuing with it. And then our webmaster, Mark Truszkowski, also continuing in his role. And just to identify back for those who are seeing these positions and thinking, well, they've been there forever. Why would I challenge them for this role? They're doing a great job. And it's not to say that they aren't doing great jobs, but they may want to move on to another position, or they may be ready to see some new energy come in. And it doesn't matter. It's an election. So if you feel driven to be in a position in this organization, we welcome that. We make space for you for that. So please don't feel intimidated because you keep seeing the same name in a position for years and years and years. We want your leadership as much as we want theirs. So can we maybe share screen real quick for the results of the election? The positions, the board positions. Okay, so you can see in transparency, one of the things we're working toward in our annual meetings and all of our board decisions is we're sharing all of this information on our website. So we want to be sure to share with you and in this recorded session, the actual results of the positions. 43 people responded. You'll see in regions 3 and 4 that we had less than that. And I think some of it may have been people were feeling that they shouldn't respond since they weren't a part of region 3 or region 4. We're not actually set up that way as an organization, but that was a note to self that the nominating committee could clarify that in future elections. And we also had one write-in for Region 4. Heather Patterson's name was written in as well. And thank you for that. And now let's take a look at the vote on the Constitution and bylaws. And so 35 people responded to this. The first pie chart that you see is actually the overall vote. And so 94.3% said they approved. We had a couple of people who responded that they had support for some, but not necessarily all of the line by line votes. But all we needed was a majority of those who were voting. So the amendments and changes to the bylaws are approved. Any questions on those pieces? All right. And again, thanks to all who voted early or voted in this meeting. We appreciate all your support in seeing this be a successful election and for helping us to approve bylaw changes that were timely and needed. So I'm going to move on real quick now to the next, which is I want to introduce to you a new position that we are have been working on. The Racial Equity and Math Education Committee has been working for over a year now on a couple of facets for the organization. One was a DEI statement, a diversity, equity, and inclusion statement. We spent a long time kind of crafting the language for that. You can see that on our website. It's posted now. And then they've also been working to identify an officer who can help us to engage DEI throughout the organization. We have a committee and we have chairpersons for that, but we're thinking that this needed to be elevated to a board position. And so to do that work effectively, what we set out to do, the committee decided to do, is they created a job description for this position. There's a short summary on the screen. The longer one will be made available because it was voted on in our May board meeting on May 10th. But we recognize that the DEI work is extremely complex, and it's a large undertaking for any one person or any one committee to try and address without proper time and support. And so that the Racial Equity and Math Education Committee determined it would be best to create the position for an equity officer first as a presidential appointment. And so on May 10th of this year, the board approved the request to have a presidential appointed position of equity officer. And they also approved it based on the job description that was presented by the committee. They did this with the understanding that the nominating committee would support the work of this And so we kind of set a precedence for that with the 2020 filling of the secretary position. It was an interim. And so we're going to follow that procedure for filling this presidential appointment. We anticipate that this invitation to interested candidates in being in this role as DEI officer will probably be the end of September, early fall is when we'll announce that and send out the job description for interested candidates. The nominating committee will begin the process then of supporting those candidates, identifying who's interested and what can we do to support them. We'll interview candidates, and then we'll make a recommendation to the board for the candidate we think is best right to fill that role. The board will approve or request additional information. We support them in what they're deciding to do. And the holder of that position will spend the next 2 years really kind of formalizing the position. So it'll be a presidential appointment for a couple of years, but during that time, that person is actively working to formalize the position, adjust the job description where it's not appropriate, or maybe it's too overwhelming, maybe it's not ambitious enough. By the 2022 annual meeting, so by this time next year, the board is going to vote on whether to bring the position to the general membership as an amendment to the bylaws to make it an elected position, or if it needs to continue as presidential appointment for a while. So if it is approved and added to the bylaws at the 22 annual meeting, then the equity officer will become an elected position that would begin the election in 2023. So this is a procedure. It's going to take a little time, but we felt it was prudent to do that to not overwhelm the person and to actually have the committee work being fully integrated into all of ANN and not just by one aspect of ANN. So keep an eye out on your email for an official announcement of that. And then if you have specific questions, please email me as the nominating committee chair, and I'll give you information that you need. Eric, to you.
Okay, so we're starting to wrap up here. Just so you know, especially for folks who are new, who are not already involved in committees, I think you've heard a lot about our committees. You've got a fair number of ideas, but some of the things we just wanted to leave you with while you're thinking about next steps is how can you get more involved? How can you help somebody else who doesn't know about us yet? Or maybe they know about us but don't realize the kinds of things that we're working on. How can you help them get more involved with us? A few suggestions is that you join a committee, help a fellow teacher join the network. Membership is on our website, fairly simple, I think you know. Engage with our emails. We have these different channels of communication. If you have any questions about how that works, you contact any one of us and we'll help you get connected. And you can also present on ANN at conferences, workshops, other gatherings locally, and we'd love to support you doing that. We have maybe just a minute. Anybody have ideas they want to share about what they're going to do as the next step? Anyone want to make a public commitment?
I'm going to go look around the website a lot more and read The Math Practitioner from 1995.
Yeah, it's cool looking at the old newsletters. There's a lot of great stuff in there. They should be read. Anybody else? We still have a few minutes.
In Arizona, we've been promoting ANN for the last couple of years now, and we do it in our newsletters, we do it at conferences, and allow our programs to use some of their required professional learning funds to join memberships for their program and for their teachers. So we're going to keep doing that. And we have reached out to Turk, to both Heidi and Connie specifically, to do some sessions at our upcoming Arizona Institute in September. So I'd like to keep promoting the work that ANN does and just encourage our programs to let their teachers and pay for their teachers to be involved in this really great PL that they need to be in.
Pardon me for interrupting, but can I ask what Turk is? I've heard that mentioned twice.
Turk is Technical Education Research Center, but everybody just calls it TERC. It's in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and it houses the Adult Numeracy Center. And this is the group that has developed Empower, ANI, and so we do a lot of professional development and support for educators. And several of our team members on the Sabe Center, which is PD for Massachusetts, are A&M members, and they're on this meeting today. And thank you, Mark, for dropping the link.
It's not too late to jump in if you have questions, comments, ideas, but we're going to start to move to close with the raffle.
And this is the raffle that, oh, I'm sorry, Amy, this is your part. My bad.
Yeah, no worries. So thanks, Heidi, for starting this off. This, as Heidi was saying, we will have 2 raffle winners today. Debbie Phillips and then Margaret Rogers both donated $25 to the Zazzle store. So that's the company that we go through on our website to buy ANN gear. So we'll have 2 $25 gift card winners. And I've been trying hard to capture everybody's name that's here. I think I got everyone. And then we will just need your if you are a winner, we just need your email, and then we'll send you that card. And we have everyone's emails from when you registered. So let's do this. So winner number 1. Did Tim leave? Tim, are you here?
As in me?
Tim Berrigan?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
Not visually, but spiritually.
Awesome. I hear your voice too.
Congratulations.
Tim. Congratulations. Winner number 1. Hold on, I'm writing your whole name down before I go again. Okay, awesome. $25 gift card. Number 2 goes to, okay, this time I'll remove your name. Let's see. And Tim, if you win again, then I don't know. We'll see what happens. Patricia. Patricia is the newsletter editor, so she deserves this. She works super hard for ANN.
Congrats, Patricia.
All right, Tim and Patricia, we will be connecting with you via email. Congratulations. And thank you for that link, Mark, in the chat.
Well, thank you all for being here. I think that wraps up our annual meeting. We can stick around if anyone wants to chat, any questions, comments, set up meetings, or you can go enjoy the rest of your day. It's up to you. But we really appreciate you all being here, and I'm very excited about the next year. So thank you all.